Okay, good morning, my friends. This is Roger Spur. I have been railing against academia for not doing their job, not doing their duty to the students. Now, I wake up this morning, I hear student loan payments resuming. Well, these people are so indebted, they're never going to get out of debt. And the institutions that have been drawing their money from these people being told that if they don't have this piece of paper that says they're smart, they won't get a job and they'll be poor for the rest of their lives. It's just the opposite. Now it's going to even be worse because it's literally going to be understood now. Basically everything that's been taught is not true. Geology is not true. Everything about stuff that's in space and about meteorites and all that, which you're going to see all this in a minute, is not true. Particles of light are particles. I've shown all of this. We are being dominated by dominators that say either you say what I tell you to say or I will ruin your life. I'll tell everybody you're an idiot and then you're going to be an idiot. They paid all this money to be told what they have to say, and now they're living in their cars because they can't afford rent. These people are in desperate situations. At least Biden's trying to help them. And I give him credit for that. And I'm trying to help too. And when you see what you're going to see, I think you're going to want to help too. All right? This is not right. They have just as much obligation to the student as the student has to their debt. All right? And you'll see what I have to show you, and I think you're going to be stunned. Okay, let's get into student debt and what is the obligations of the schools. First of all, let's talk about student debt. This was on this morning. Listen to what he has to say. This is CBS News.
Starting in October, the bill is due again for federal student loan borrowers. Interest will be charged starting tomorrow after it was stopped in March of 2020 to help people during the pandemic. Witcher James looks at the White House and how they're trying to help.
In Indianapolis, Erin Heffern and her husband are dreading the return of student loan bills.
When we lose sleep over it, it takes so much out of us.
Together, they owe $116,000, which breaks down to payments of $1,500 a month. During the pandemic, they got some relief.
It's really hard to even have a strategy because it's such a large portion of what we make.
For 39-year-old Heffern, the financial strain amounts to more than struggling to pay bills. It has impacted her goal to start a family.
Not having children has probably been the biggest choice that we've made because of our student loan. We can't live paycheck to paycheck and bring children into this world.
The couple is among 45 million Americans who have student loan debt, totaling $1.7 trillion. The Biden administration tried to deliver up to $20,000 of relief to millions of borrowers, but in June, the Supreme Court blocked the program with a 6-3 decision. President Biden has vowed to keep fighting, feeling pressure from progressives in his party.
Under my new plan, we're reducing that payment to just 5% of your disposable income.
Under the president's SAVE plan, which will be fully implemented by next summer, interest will not accumulate as long as borrowers make their monthly payments. Those will be based on income and family size. More than 1 million low-income borrowers will qualify for a $0 monthly payment.
It's a game changer for a lot of people who are in student loan debt.
Michelle Singletary is a personal finance columnist for the Washington Post.
People look at how much they owe, they get discouraged, and they just get paralyzed. If you are not sure you have enough money, call your loan servicer. Figure out the right payment plan for you and take action. I'm telling you, this debt will haunt you for decades. So call and see what is possible.
Where's this way, bud?
Heffern was holding out hope for loan forgiveness. Now she's grappling with reality.
I don't think that we'll ever get any relief from it. Well, I think we'll take these loans to our graves, unfortunately.
There is a so-called on-ramp program for the next year that allows people to be spared the worst consequences of missing payments on their loans. They won't be considered default or reported to credit bureaus, but if they miss their payments, interest will add up, and Singletary stresses that collectors will get that money in the end, so try to pay. Tony?
I would listen to
Now, listen to this. This is where we should be headed.
Keep Kids Safe Plus career education. No debt here makes a comeback. Students learning practical skills that lead to good jobs right away. Local News is next.
Let's get back to the issue about student debt. But the problem is that the universities are not doing their job. I presented all my evidence long ago. This was in 2016, and Yale actually has taken credit for my work. They said exactly what I said, almost identical word for word, about being one layer worldwide. There was a giant flood, heavy salts and silicates, and it turned into mud fossils, and they happened within a very short period of time. They say within hours to days they could have turned to stone. I don't agree with that. It was longer than that, but not a whole lot longer. It wasn't tens and thousands of years. They put that event 550 million years ago. Guess what? Every one of my mud fossils here was just laying on the surface of the earth. They weren't even buried. This was only 3,500 years ago. Velikovsky had all of this, and that's why I wrote this book, Mudfossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. And that's why I say academia owes the students. The students don't owe the academics. It's just the opposite, in my mind. All right, the next video is going to be about Avi Loeb, who is a Harvard professor, and he's saying there's a problem with science, and he's exactly right. There is a real problem with science. Now, he's looking at Comet Oumuamua and all of these other extraterrestrial things and trying to figure out, is there any life to them? And I show, yes, absolutely, and I will show you Oumuamua was biological, no question, and the same thing with Psyche. He's looking at that one. And Comet 67P, I've shown in great detail, is a tendinenthesis. And I can back all of this stuff up. Now, I know at Harvard they have biology people, they have anatomy people, they have chemists, they have physics people, they have all that stuff. So they should be able to easily debunk my statements or verify them, one way or the other. But I want this looked at. I'm done with this nonsense of academia and then them having the cayunes to go after the students for not making their payments for their student debt, which is, from my mind, they got taken for a ride. And because it's the professors and the universities and the whole system is all basically racketeering. It's peer-reviewed. If you don't say what they tell you to say, they put you out in the field somewhere. So, and this is what happened to me. And this is going over 10, 12, 14 years now. And it's been, close to 10 years. I've had all my stuff done, completely done. I wrote my book in 2015. It was published January 2016. And then Yale took this, they put this paper out the end of 2016 in October, Exceptional Preservation of Soft-Bodied Creatures Promoted by Silica-Rich Ocean. Exactly what I told them. Identical, no difference whatsoever to what I told them. And I'll put links to this. But this was October 2016. My book was put out, hold on. No, here's right here. February 2016, I put my book out about my interaction with him. I called my book Mudfossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. Velikovsky was Worlds in Collision. They destroyed him for writing that. They forced it to take him off the bookshelves. 11 weeks in a row, #1 on the bookshelves, they took it off the bookshelves. Now, my book here is like a 99 cents, but I thought I was going to have all kinds of people jumping onto this, and it just didn't happen. And I started out by saying a few years ago, which is from 2016, it was a few years back, I started on this journey, and it's just wild and crazy, and I thought I was going to have some people jump up and say, let's look at it. They refuse to look at it. And it's because of the God factor. I'm telling you right now. The first thing out of everybody's mouth was, what are you, a creationist? What do you think, the earth is flat? Da, 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 da. Well, guess what? They're starting to come around. Avi Loeb, here he is right here. Avi Loeb says aliens have visited. He's not kidding. Now, and he says right here, he calls out what he sees as a crisis in science. Now, I want to talk to Avi. I've been trying to get a hold of him for years, and I never get any response. But I never get any response from anybody. So, nobody wants to step out on the limb that I'm on, because they just don't want to be ridiculed. Now, he's talking about things that maybe he could get ridiculed. Okay, Yale's trying to put a spin on this. This was before there was any life on Earth, and that's just not true. But they do agree the soft-bodied creatures were created this one layer worldwide, and this is from the postdoctoral first author, Lydia Tarhan. Many of the creatures are outright bizarre in appearance, do not resemble any organism alive today. Then she says, are the Ediacara organisms some sort of failed evolutionary experiment? Yes, they were. It had to be wiped off the face of the earth because of the giants. And that's what I found was the giants. That's why they won't allow my research. Now, it's talking about the big part was how were these fossils able to be preserved. And they don't understand, but I do, and it's because of the silica. And they understand it's because of the silica, but they don't have any idea where the silica came from. But it enabled the animals to turn into rock in over a matter of hours or years, rather than the usual time frame, thousands to millions of years. So they realize exactly what I told them, and really all it is they took credit for my work. And this is from Yale News, cementing a theory about sea creatures. Well, they weren't just sea creatures, they were all over, because the world was one giant flood. And it said it was worldwide. Not just in this one layer, in this one area that they found them, it was a worldwide flood, and completely saturated with the silicates. And I know why. It's because it was a hot water flood. All right, see? Found worldwide in rocks ranging, they're talking 550 million years ago. No. Everything I found is on the surface. And then he goes into the outright bizarre creatures. And yes, exactly. It was exactly what they said happened on Earth. And they tried to wipe it all out, but they couldn't. And then they try to twist this and say there was no fingernails or toenails or bones or anything. Everything was soft. They just don't understand nucleophilic substitution. Where it comes down here, it says something about they didn't have, here it is, right here. A big part of the answer involves figuring out how these fossils were able to form. The animals themselves were entirely soft-bodied. They lived before evolution of shells, teeth, bones. No, absolutely wrong. They had all of that stuff, but they became nucleophilically substituted in this particular soup that was created by an almost impact of Venus, exactly what Velikovsky reported. And that's exactly what I looked into, and I could support everything that he said. And it was supported everywhere in the world. Everybody had the same story. Now, if academia was doing their job, we'd be talking about this. This is suppressed, and he was destroyed by academia. So I think academia owes the students an apology in my mind.